Hi, I'm Woosey, I'm 12 years old and I live in North Devon. For the last 2.5 years, I've been sleeping outside to raise money for the North Devon Hospice. I've now raised over £700,000 for them, including gift aid. And I think we all know how COVID's been such a, awful time. I think we can all say that. And we've all had our own ways of coping. Some people did more exercise, some people did cooking, and for me, that was sleeping in my tent. And that changed such an awful time into the best 2.5 years of my life. So how did I get there? I'll have to go back a few years. I can't go back much further, because I'm only 12, 13 in 2 weeks. But anyway, the 5-year-old me was a lot different to me now. When I was 5, I had a thing called hypermobility, which caused very bendy and painful joints. And it meant I couldn't really run around as well as my friends, and I couldn't even hold a pencil properly. And I realised that I couldn't keep on going like that. So my parents took me to see a physiotherapist, and they gave me loads of exercises to do each day before school. And like any 5-year-old would, I hated them. There was no way I was doing them. So instead, I went swimming 3 times a week, and that was like my saviour. And it made me feel more normal, because I knew all my friends were doing swimming lessons, and eventually, I actually got pretty good. And it was about a year or maybe 2 after working really hard, I realised that I was actually getting kind of good, and I was starting to become a lot faster than some of my friends. And the school asked me to do an aquathon, was a swim run. And I said, of course. And after a while, I was training, seeing how fast I could do, preparing for the course, and out of nowhere, I managed to come first in my heat and second overall. And instead of my friends coming up to me and saying, well done for coming first, they came up to me saying, wow, you aren't disabled. And they didn't mean it in a bad way. They've just never seen me, do that good in a race before. And that was kind of the first time I realised not giving up and using resilience could help me out in such a strong way, and that it could help me out for, the better. And maybe a month or 2 before lockdown happened, my neighbour Rick unfortunately died of cancer. He died at home supported by his friends and family and North Devon Hospice. And Rick wasn't your average 70-year-old. He was the kind of 70-year-old that had a climbing wall in his garage, and the one that every day was out in the water. And before he died, he said to me, I want you to have an adventure in this tent. And I said, I promise I will. And that's when I realised there wouldn't be a better time than to do it in lockdown. So I was stuck with my parents all day, every day, 24/7. Honestly, I cannot explain how they were driving me mad. I couldn't cope. And that's why I realised that camping out would be the best way to get away from them. So I asked Mum if I could camp out in Rick's tent, and originally she said no. So I asked again and again until the 29th of March 2020, she said yes. And it wasn't the best planned escape, I'm not gonna lie. The tent was only a bit bigger than my sleeping bag, and it had to fit me, my dog, and my stacks of beanos, because I was 10. I had to have a beano or 2. And we kept on going for a few weeks, and I said to Mum, you know what? North Devon Hospice were absolutely amazing. Can I try and raise some money for them? And Mum did what she did best, and said no. So I asked again and again and again, until she finally said yes. And Dad said to me that if I raised over £50, he would donate the rest. And Dad, I think your money's safe with you. And Leah from the hospice said to me, could we put a video of your fundraising onto our Facebook page? And I said yes. And donations started coming in. I was on Sky News the next day, and then BBC onto ITV, and me and Mum were freaking out. We managed to raise over £5,000 in one day, and for us, that was the biggest success. And as time went on, we realised that 30 degrees in a tent is actually harder than -4. Because when it's colder, you can always put layers on. But the hotter it is, there's no way you can escape, especially when the tent's been in the sun all day. It turns into a little greenhouse. And it wasn't just the heat that was driving me mad. I didn't prepare for the animals. Honestly. We had foxes, slugs, snails. I even got chased around by a pheasant in my grandparents' garden. I did not realise they were that fast. But one of my biggest struggles, and I suppose one of my highlights, would be Boxing Day. So I had all my new presents, I had all my new camping gear. I was really excited. And I was about 2 meters away from the tent when I found myself flat on my back in a muddy puddle. Did my parents help me up? No, they laughed at me. And I think that was the first time I started to think to myself that, you know what, it's only a little bit of mud. I can keep on going if I can survive that. And every day and every night, my family and parents would say to me, you know what, you don't have to do this, you've done it long enough. But no, I kind of did have to do this. I realised that camping outside was good for my mental health, and it was changing me for the better. And that's why I wanted to share my experiences of people. And that's where me and my mum got the idea of Max's Big Camp Out. And that was where you could camp inside, camp out, whichever one you felt more comfortable with, and raise money for whoever you wanted. Because if a child started fundraising, they were always told when they were going to do it, how they were going to do it, and who they were going to do it for. So Just Giving helped us create the first child-led platform under the banner of Max's Big Camp Out. And you could make your own page, and you could see how well you were doing individually, and how well you could do as a team. And I thought it was important for children just to have some fun and realise that COVID won't be as bad if we start helping each other out. And later on, thousands of people joined in. And it was lovely to see that children, for the very first time, camped outside in their tent. And they felt so good about themselves. And that's when I knew it was a success. But it wasn't just children who joined in. It was adults too. In fact, one lady joined in because her son died about a month before. And she ended up camping out for 6 months because she realised that it was good for her mental health and it was good for her grief. And it does just show you that the outdoors does have a very special place. And you know what? Maybe we should all try and go outside a little bit more. Now think of this as my little wrap-up in a way. I've had an amazing 2.5 years of my life. There have been some struggles, but camping out has given me some amazing opportunities to go and camp out in London Zoo, to pitch my tent up in Twickenham and stay there for the night. And I loved it. But it's exactly what my headmaster said to me. Think about life as a corridor. If you say no to something, you've just closed the door and you've shut down that experience. But if you say yes, you've just opened a door and a whole world of opportunities. And life is all about having as many experiences as you can and opening as many doors. And all I want you to take away from this is that children can do so much more than you think, and that give them the chance and they can do anything. So thank you, you've all been amazing, and I hope you enjoyed it.